Hi, I'm Dirk van Zel and I'm the winemaker at Saxenburg Wine Estate, and we are finally done with harvest. And what a harvest it has been. It has been the most unpredictable season that I can remember, and it really is the vintage that followed no rules. It started off very cold and wet in springtime, and this delayed bud break by about 2 weeks in most of our vineyards. It also caused a lot of uneven bud break, especially in our Syrah and our higher line vineyards. But funnily enough, Chardonnay, which is generally prone to uneven bud break, budded beautifully this year. We saw beautiful bud break, even bud break, and even ripening on our Chardonnay vineyards, which is really exciting, and we're grateful for that. But this uneven bud break caused a lot of extra work early in the season, to get things to even out, a lot of suckering, and then the summer was relatively cool or quite moderate. We didn't have a lot of heat spikes, which was brilliant, but we did have a few rain sessions in between and colder days and wetter days in between, and this put a lot of disease pressure on. So we had to put some extra labor into the vineyards once again to really open up the canopies, get the airflow through to keep everything healthy, which is a lot of effort, but worth it at the end of the day. And then with this disease pressure and with the uneven bud break, we really had to do careful crop control. So in some of our blocks, we went through a second and a third time to drop bunches, to really just keep the best bunches, keep the bunches nice and loose, and take out all of those and all of the uneven bunches. This dropped our average yield this year quite a bit, so we picked quite a bit less than last year. But looking at the wines in the cellar, I'm very happy with what we did in the vineyards and all the extra effort we put in this year. It seems to be paying off. So vintage started in February only this year. We were about 2.5 weeks later than last year, and the whites progressed nicely. They came in beautifully. We have massive acids this year, fantastic total acidities, which we're very excited about. And I must say, on the whites are pure and crystalline, and this beautiful minerality running through all of them, which I'm really, really excited about, and that gives me a lot of scope in the winery to do a bit of lees contact and to really work it to bring in the texture to round that acidity out. So I'm very, very excited about that. The reds started a bit funny, actually. Some of our red blocks that were picked early last year came in much later, and then some of the later blocks came in earlier. So you couldn't follow the normal recipe. You had to be in the vineyard and taste to see when to pick the blocks. We had a bit of heat only at the end of February. February was very mild and moderate, but a bit of heat at the end of February really sped things up a bit. But funnily enough, only on our Cabernet vineyards and not so much on our Syrah vineyards. So we were forced to pick quite a bit then. And then all of a sudden we had that massive downpour of rain, which we got about 50 millimeters of rain over 2 days, and that's really slowed down the harvest a lot. We took about a 7-day break where we couldn't pick anything, and then really only got started properly after 10 days. And in those 10 days, I spent a lot of time in the vineyards tasting the grapes and tasting the berries to see how the water works its way through. Straight after the rain, you have the berries are very swollen, very dilute, and you don't want to pick them at that stage. So you really need to taste and see as the water goes out and get them at the right stage. But after that, the reds came in beautifully, and overall, the season was very cool. Definitely not a hot season, and that always bodes well. But it was a challenging one. So you had to put the effort in the vineyards. You had to be in your vineyards. You had to taste. It wasn't one where you could just say, oh, this block and then this block and then this block, and just look at balling analysis or acid analysis. You really had to go into the vineyards and taste and taste and taste. And that was, I think, the key to this vintage. But overall, I'm very excited about the quality. I think we have some fantastic whites and reds in the cellar. The reds, it's an early day still, but the reds for me have a bit more extraction this year. The tannin structures are a bit bigger, and the wines tend to be a bit denser. I actually backed off on a lot of my extraction just because the wines were extracting so easily. So we might have lost some of the elegance that we had in 2020, but the wines are definitely much more structured, which is really exciting. So I'm quite happy with the wines that. It's short after harvest, and you don't want to make too many assumptions. But I'm very happy with where we're at the moment, and I'm excited to be sharing this wines with you, hopefully in the coming months and years. Cheers.